What's up, y'all? Welcome back to Dad Needs to Talk. I'm your host, Robert, and today, this is going to be a very, very weird episode. So, it is already 2026, so Happy New Year's. And typically, a tradition I have liked doing since I started doing the podcast was like kind of like a farewell reflection episode to kind of wrap up the year, but this last month and this last week has been pretty crazy for me. So I honestly wasn't even sure I was even gonna be able to do it, but like my heart really wanted to do this, and I also was wanting to still kind of talk about some of my favorite things from the year. So this is just what it's gonna be. And so just to kind of give a little bit of context, and I'm kind of rambling out the gate or whatever. Welcome to Danny's Talk. But, I think I mentioned maybe in something I released recently that at the beginning of December, my wife's grandmother had a stroke. And so we've been kind of dealing with that um, over the course of December through Christmas and stuff. And then a week ago, I got my top two wisdom teeth pulled. So I wasn't really able to speak a lot for the last week. And it's actually kind of painful a little bit now for me to talk. But I'm gonna try to muscle through. And assuming if you were seeing or hearing this episode, then hey, your boy made it through and got it out to you. But yeah, so just a lot of stuff going on as the year is kind of winding down and we're entering this new year. But I always just enjoy doing these. So, like I said, this will be a reflection of the year, and then me kind of going through topic by topic games, movies, TV shows, anime, manga, etc. Like just highlighting a few things from each of those. Unfortunately, like I said, with everything going on in the past, I've tried to do like individual mini episodes for each of those things, but I'm like, you know what? I'd rather do this all together than not do it at all. So, yeah, with that being said, almost 3 minutes in, if this is your first time here, then welcome. But if you're a returning listener and or watcher, then welcome back. Y'all know here at Dance to Talk, it's all about fatherhood and family, manga, anime, TV shows, movies, and of course, some video games. So, like I said, it is crazy. We're in 2026. My birthday is 4 days from now on the 6th. So, birthday's around the corner. My mouth is in pain. But yeah, we're going to make it through. Uh, man. So, and as always, there's going to be timestamps for everything. So, if you want to jump ahead of different topics and stuff, whatever, feel free. But yeah, but starting off, going to be talking about life and reflecting on the year. First off, I just got to just be honest with myself. Um, Personal wise, wasn't the best year, especially when I think back on this time when I recorded this last year. The word I kind of used like, hey, this is gonna be my word and theme of the year, which is gonna be discipline. And I was not disciplined, and that bit me in the butt so many times this year. That it's not even funny. And so, I take that as a huge, huge, huge fault upon myself for lacking the discipline in many things that kind of put me in some hairy spots and stuff, even now in some hairy spots. But, it's kind of unfortunately, live and learn, try to do better the next day, month, year, whatever the case may be. So, just kind of, with everything that's been going on this past month or whatever, you know, amongst the stuff going on with, my wife's grandmother's stroke stuff, whatever, and my teeth stuff and just other stuff going on. Little thing, my favorite little manga shelf behind me. So, a bad habit of mine that really, really, really just like was kind of like the straw that broke the camel's back is a lot of times I'll bring different stuff, whatever, into the space and be, just different stuff from work and whatever, snacks, so on and so forth, whatever. And I had not been disciplined and good with, hey, keeping it kind of somewhat tight and organized. As y'all can see from the chef behind me, I need to go through this and, organize, declutter, get rid of some manga and stuff, whatever. But there was a snack I had forgot about that was the very bottom, or like near the bottom of my bookshelf, whatever. That unfortunately, a bunch of ants got onto the snack that was hidden amongst some clutter down here, and got into my manga down here at the bottom of the shelf. So that was a horrific day because like I came in here to chill, watch some TV, whatever, and then anytime you see like one ant, it's never just one. And so, yeah, ended up looking down. I was like, oh crap. And yeah, it was chaos or whatever. Um, but I'm saying that to say that whole situation and just like I said, everything else going on or whatever just kind of reaffirmed I need to declutter a lot. And not just manga, like everything, clothes, paperwork, old boxes, different stuff I have surrounding me because like even like clothes, for example. Now I take very good care of clothes and stuff I have. Like I have certain clothes and shoes that I've had for 5, 10 plus years that some of it still looks freaking practically brand new, but it's like a case of like I have some of this stuff that I don't really even wear, or it's just not really my vibe and style no more when it comes to like clothing wise. And so it's like it's taking up so much space. And so what I've been trying to do, at least if not every paycheck, every other paycheck, is take at least 20 to let's say 20 to 30 bucks. Let's say 30 to 50, depending on what it is, what's going on. But basically, take a little bit of money every couple of paychecks, go to the store, getting some new pants, new shirts and stuff, whatever, and kind of cycling out some old stuff because like some of my work pants, whatever, like been fading, got holes in them, stuff torn, and it's like, okay, Rob, man, it's time. You long overdue. And like I said, it's just like some of these shirts. It's like I've had some of this stuff shirts for over 10 plus years, and it's like now, obviously, like regular T-shirts, like my anime shirts, game shirts, whatever. Yes, that stuff I'm gonna keep for the most part as long as I want to, whatever. Because those are just like comfort shirts. But some of these like long sleeves or polos and different stuff, whatever, it's just like it needs to go. Like somebody else out there can put this stuff to better use than it literally just sitting in my closet, never getting worn for years and years upon end. So a lot of that stuff needs to go. Like I said, I got a bunch of boxes and paperwork that's just like this stuff just needs to go. So that's kind of like a big thing I'm looking towards, of chipping away at getting stuff organized and things of that nature. Even honestly, when I'm looking at my podcast setup stuff, whatever, like this little framing for the video, whatever, I kind of want to redo that a bit or whatever because I kind of don't like that it's so much like dead space on the side and I'm not like full screen and stuff. So, but that's some different things I'm gonna kind of take a look at and play around with and stuff, whatever. But it's just like I said, it's just like a few things that kind of come to mind of like, yeah, I've been doing or using the same stuff for so long. There's okay, it kind of needs a little bit of refreshing. So, like I said, from the podcast stuff to clothes and shoes and just other general things just going on in my life um, that I just kind of want to just get sorted and just kind of out the way. And, you know, that kind of leads me to something else with before I get into like all the different media and stuff. I checked out this year is, I guess, in some sense, a word for me this year would be focus. And what I mean by that is kind of like not always trying to juggle and do and bounce between so many things at one time, because there were so many shows, so many games and different stuff this year that like I started, but I didn't finish reading, didn't finish watching, whatever. And it's just like, dang, like prime example, Ghost of Yote was loving it, and so I booted up the other night or whatever because I was like, you know what, I want to kind of dive back into this, whatever. And then I had to look at my trophies. And I was like, when was the last time I played this? And it was freaking 2 months ago. Like I was on it heavy from release. Played it for like a couple weeks hard, and then just life and different stuff happened. And of course, I am always going to give myself grace with life interruptions because that happens. Especially I know how busy stuff is with my family, with my kids and stuff, whatever. But there still is a thing of like not letting stuff get too far out of hand if it can be helped. And so that is definitely like something I kind of want to try to do better about this year. Like I said, especially with the games, it's kind of like, okay, because like with the games and stuff, whatever, I don't buy as much as I used to, just because obviously it's like, okay, I know I don't play as much as I used to. And so I'm very selective a lot of times with what I buy. And then it's okay when I actually spend the money to buy something, whatever, I want to make sure I'm seeing it through and stuff. Um, so yeah, so like I said, that's just kind of like the main thing with my reflection of the year is just doing better, decluttering, focusing, um, and yeah, those are kind of the main lessons I take from this year. Podcast wise, I do want to say, surprisingly, even though I had a couple of release gaps and stuff throughout this year. Let me see. Did a lot in December, couple in November, couple in October, one in September, couple in August, July, June. Yeah, so for the most part, I think I had stuff. Hmm, you know what? Maybe I wasn't as inconsistent as I felt like I was. Because I'm looking at this. I did one, two, three, four, five things in January, six in February, one, two, three, four, another one, two, three, four, five in March, three in April. Yeah. One, two, five in May. Okay. You know what? Now that I'm actually looking at this, whatever, I feel like I had a bunch of gaps in here. Maybe I must be thinking about the year before then, cause looking at this, your boy did pretty good. all things considered, cause let's see, I'm looking at 2024. Huh? Yeah. So okay, yeah. There were a couple of spots in 24 where I did like only one thing in May. But yeah, so you know what? Sometimes my perception of my performance, so to speak, whatever, isn't as bad as what I feel like it is. And I think a lot of that kind of goes back to the early days of the podcast when I was machine gun spraying episodes left and right back in those early days or whatever. And so I think now I feel like I'm not doing a lot, but it's like when like I said, I'm really looking at this and it's like, no, I actually did have several things back to back to back to back every month for pretty much the whole year. Um, yeah. So okay. So the year wasn't as bad as I thought. Like I said, the only death spot was like I only did one thing in September, two in October, but in a way it all kind of balances itself out. So yeah, maybe I don't have as much to course correct on that front as I feared I did. But yeah, like I said, the podcast and stuff in general, like I said, I kind of want to maybe try to freshen up some stuff visually a bit. I'm still probably never gonna really get too fancy with having a bunch of images and videos and stuff on screen or whatever. I would like to someday, but just for now, hey, it is what it is for now. Uh, I do know for sure, and I feel like I talked about this last year, but I definitely want to get back to the point of guest, having guests on the podcast. Um, in some form or fashion, I really want to have people back on the show again to talk and catch up and stuff. So that is definitely something that I got my eyeballs on for this upcoming year. And yeah, so let's go ahead and kind of start diving into some stuff from this year. So I guess we'll kind of start off talking about with some video games. So gaming this year in general was pretty good. And one thing I'll say though is that I felt like this was a pivotal year as a gaming dad, which that's still like a whole subject I really want to do separately someday. But what I mean by that is like specifically like with me and Vash, there are several key things this year that I think and hope, because he's 8 now, that he will be able to kind of look back on fondly as he gets older and stuff. Because, for one, we had the release of the Switch 2 this year. So, Vash got to experience his first, I would say his first cognizant new console release, because Vash was born in 2017, so he was born literally the same year that the Switch One came out, which is funny enough. And so of course he was around for the PS5 and Xbox Series X and stuff, whatever, which we got, but he was 3 when those things came out or whatever, and that was a COVID lockdown year, so he's probably not going to remember those. But I took him with me to the midnight release to pick up the Switch 2 or whatever. And now it wasn't as glamorous and stuff, whatever, but we really were just kind of standing around outside in this long line outside of Best Buy for like 2 hours, which in hindsight, I'm like, yeah, better prepare next time, Robert. But, little journey on our path. But it's like between that and then a couple of games specifically, Expedition 33, which that game is definitely one of the favorite things I got to experience this year. And it was also a game that me and Vash got to bond over a lot because um, I'm trying to think. I don't think he didn't really see much of it in like that first couple of hours, I don't think. But there was a point though where he was like, Bash is always around. He's always around when I'm playing games or whatever, whether he might not necessarily be directly playing with me, but he's like in the room, bouncing around, doing stuff, whatever. But something about the game, just like him seeing the different characters and the flashiness of the fights and the music and stuff, whatever, that he just fell in love with. And so after, like I said, like those like early hours of the game, I found that for a lot of the journey, he was literally sitting by my side, um, cheering me on. Also, kind of going through the agonizing defeats of getting beaten by certain bosses. Being in awe of the different environments and different creatures we're seeing. Like you'd be like, "Dad, what is that?" So many awesome moments like that, and even to the point where, like this year, we also started listening to video game soundtracks in the car, in the mornings on my way taking him to school and stuff. And so, it started off with soundtracks of like Yoshi's Island and the Kirby games, which is some stuff he really loves. He really loves Yoshi. He loves Kirby. So we listened to those. But I'll never forget there was literally a day where he specifically asked when cause I was like, hey Vash, what you want to listen to, whatever. And he was like, ooh, Dad, can we listen to 33? I was like, Expedition 33? He was like, yeah. And so we would listen to that sometimes in the morning. And that is just so dope. And like that music plays such a huge part because one thing, going back to Expedition 33 real quick, with the music and stuff, and one thing that I love watching different people streaming and playing it for the first time is when you're on that just initial title screen before you start the game, whatever, like seeing people being like, ooh, making that face, or being like at the headphones, are like, yeah. It's like, yep, you're gonna be locked in. But yeah, man, it was just so much fun. Other little thing with the game is that like Vash named a lot of the characters different family members and stuff. So like my wife, I think, was Mael for some reason. I think Vash ended up being Verso. My middle son was Monaco. I'm trying to think. I think one of the twins was CL. One of my twin daughters was CL. I think I might have been Lune, maybe, or something. But yeah, it was just like another layer of like, okay, that's how attached to this game and stuff that he's getting. So, but yeah, so shout out to Expedition 33. Um, Another big game for us was Silk Song. So Hollow Knight Silk Song, which that game in itself, like once again, the original Hollow Knight came out the year Vash was born. And so here we are 8 years later playing the sequel. And that was another one that I found him being next to me, enjoying playing, watching me play and stuff. And speaking of playing, like Vash started playing Expedition 33 as well. Like he would ask whatever. He actually got the hang of some of the fights and stuff. And so like seeing him doing freaking 7 years old at the time, doing freaking perfect dodges or perfect parries and stuff, whatever, was super dope to watch. It's like, yeah, that's my boy. But yeah, and like I said, that carrying on with him getting into watching me play Silk Song, and once again, the music and the the oohs and ahs of like, yo, what is that boss? What is that thing? And the agonizing defeats and stuff, whatever. And him cheering me on and all that stuff. Like Silk Song was such a special moment in time. Just the build up to it and the fact that they were like, hey, this is coming out in a couple weeks from when we're announcing this date or whatever. It coming out, freaking 7 million sales and stuff, and freaking $20. That too, like it was a easy buy. And then yeah, just that was like another soundtrack that me and Vash would listen to in the morning going to school and stuff as well. So yeah, so Silk Song is another one that's gonna be like another cherished memory for us. Another game I got to give a shout out to is Ruffy and the Riverside, because for one, it was just a super fun 3D or yeah, kind of like a platformer game that once again Vash enjoyed playing too and running around the world because very creative. This whole kind of like copy paste mechanic of copying textures from one thing in the environment and using it to transform other stuff in the world to solve puzzles and stuff. But this is also very important because this was kind of like my first review embargo I got to do. And so it was just like another one of those things of like, hey, don't be afraid to shoot your shot with different opportunities and stuff. And so me getting a chance to, shooting my shot and getting a review code for the game like almost a month before release, getting to 100% and platinum the game, and then put up a review for it and stuff was like super fun to do. And so, like I said, just for all the different reasons, that's why that game, you know, really cool. Want to shout it out. Um, Another one is a Sword of the Sea. This was a game that is from it has heavy Journey vibes because I think it was the artist that worked on Journey, worked on this game, but between like the visuals and the sounds and stuff and like the gameplay just feels so good, just like like you just freaking surfing around this world on this freaking sword. It just looks so beautiful, and the gameplay was just so fluid feeling. Like it's been a while since a game has just felt fluid like that. And so yeah, definitely had to give a shout out to Sword of the Sea. Like I said, that was like a really cool, dope game that I played this year. South of Midnight is another one. So we don't get a lot of games that, you know, have black protagonists, but also are location based in the deep south. And so kind of getting this game about this girl named Hazel, um, learning about basically her heritage with these kind of like witch like powers and stuff. She's a weaver as she's on this journey to try to like save her mother and stuff. They got caught up in the storm, and like I said, just like the whole southern vibe as somebody who is from deep southeast Texas, born and raised, and then a half family in Louisiana and stuff. Like going through these bayous with like the kind of like really cool stop motion looking visual art style and stuff. The voice acting, all that stuff was really cool. Now the gameplay definitely could use a lot of tightening up and tweaks and stuff, but it was still an experience I'm glad I got to play and experience. Now I'm trying to think of other main games this year that I really got to play. It's not too many more. Like I mentioned earlier, I started Ghost of Yote, haven't finished it yet, but I was really enjoying the bit that I played of it, and hopefully I can get back in that groove because I really would like to go back through and finish playing through all of that game. Um, Shoot, a game that a couple games I'll put like kind of like honorable mentions because I haven't beaten them yet. But first of all is Death Stranding 1. So around earlier in the summer, before Death Stranding 2 came out or whatever, I don't know. It just like all the talk and chatter about it or whatever. And as somebody who's never really played, I never really played any of the Metal Gear games. Um, Aside from like the intro to 4 and a little bit of is it Ground Zero's demo that came out years ago, but that's it. And Death Stranding has always been a game that, like, from afar, I've always been like, I don't know. But from people who actually have tried it and played it, I've heard, like, hey, it hits once you actually try it. And I can say, after putting, I don't even know how many hours into it, it definitely hit. And once I kind of got into that world, I could kind of start seeing and understanding why people enjoy this game because it is something about just being like this, like for the most part, this lone person delivering these packages and stuff to these different locations and people and stuff throughout this world. There is just like a sense of kind of like somber isolation and the way the music kick in and the way that the world is a danger in and of itself. So definitely glad that I actually gave it a shot to see for myself. But yeah, that's definitely one that I'm like, hey, if I had the time to kind of clear, I might would lock in and just like play through this game. But like, yeah, it really was really, I don't know if I would say fun, but a really enlightening experience of actually playing the game and just kind of like escaping the danger of somebody or different things chasing after you, and then you struggling and finally making it to your location to deliver a package and stuff, whatever, or to do whatever you're trying to do. So shout out to Death Stranding. And then I'm also right now in the process of playing Dispatch. Now this is a new game from former people who worked at Telltale Games, so the people who made like The Walking Dead and Wolf Among Us and different things like that. This is kind of like a superhero based game where you play as a dispatcher. And so I have played up to episode 4. I finished episode 4 the other night, and I'm really enjoying it. Now I will say this is definitely a game I play after hours when Bash is out the room and no other kids can come in the room, especially because it's like there are like I had a feeling when you're going through like the initial setup of the game and there's toggles for, do you want to show nudity? Do you want to show dismemberment and gore and stuff? And I'm like, okay. And so once I've now played it, it's like, okay, yep. This game would be perfectly set in the world of like Invincible or The Boys, just to give you some idea of what you're dealing with. But yeah, so far I'm enjoying it, and I'm looking forward to playing more. And I'm trying to think. Let me kind of look through. I think that might be it for the main stuff I was interested in gaming wise. Okay, actually, there is a few more games. So, let's see. So, I'm also currently playing through Is This Seat Taken? I'm playing it on Switch. Shout out to them using the touchscreen. So, this is just like a very fun puzzle game where you play as these little different shaped characters that basically you get a level and you have to figure out how to organize the seating of these different characters. So, like prime example, it could be a bus, it could be a plane, it could be a movie theater, sports game, whatever the case may be, whatever. And you have all these different characters who have different wants and needs. So prime examples like if you're on the bus, so you might have a character to be like, hey, I want to sit near a window. Then you have another character be like, hey, um, I like playing my music loud. Then you have another character being like, I I have sensitive hearing. I don't like loud music or whatever. So okay, you can't got to make sure, okay, I don't sit this person next to this one, and so on and so forth. And then as you go on, it just gets more and more complex. Right now I've been dealing with some with like sports games where, or the movie theater one is fun too, where it's like, you have a character being like, hey, I have blurry vision. So that means, okay, or I can't see well. So obviously they want to be on the front row. Um, Somebody might be like, hey, I specifically want to sit on the third row in the center. Somebody else being like, hey, I like eating popcorn. They got a bucket of popcorn. Somebody else be like, hey, I want to steal some popcorn. So you will sit them next to each other. So it's just like a very fun little chill puzzle game I've been kind of just playing through. It's been fun, like I said, just using the Switch touch screen, just touching them and moving them around and stuff. Uh, the other one I've been really enjoying is Ball Pit. So this is one that I think surprisingly I've played. I don't even know. I think probably like over 20 hours of this thing, and it is just a game that is kind of like a brick break meets maybe kind of like a space invaders type of situation, whatever, because you have like these like rows of enemies that are coming down the screen while your character has these different like elemental balls that they're kind of like shooting out or whatever, like a brick break game or whatever. And so basically your goal is just to kind of clear all the enemies, beat all the bosses, so on and so forth. And it's just fun. Simple fun. And so, yeah, so I've been kind of playing through that as well. Like I put like 20 something hours into that. And then, of course, how can I almost forget Donkey Kong Bonanza? Now, I still haven't finished this game because I don't know. It's just like overall, like the start of the game and those kind of like early couple of levels, super strong. I just loved just like the rush of just playing as Donkey Kong and you're just kind of just like smashing through these rocks and these levels, just tunneling them out, looking for gems and bananas and stuff, whatever. Super fun. But it's just like I think like some of the transformations didn't really hit for me that well. And that kind of like sucked the momentum out of it for me. So I still would like to go back and finish playing it at some point. But yeah, that's kind of like why I kind of left my memory. And same thing with Mario Kart World. So I got that with my Switch too. And you know, me and Vash, we would still play that maybe like once every couple of weeks or whatever. He loves playing the kind of like the balloon pop rounds and stuff like that. So yeah, so me and Vash is really the only reason why I still really even boot up that game, whatever and stuff. But yeah, and one thing I will say though, like going back to the whole thing that I talked about at the beginning of the show with like the topic of focusing on stuff, a couple of games this year really showed me that given the right amount of attention and circumstance, I can still put heavy hours into a game that I would have never believed. So, like prime example, Expedition 33. I think I've now played over 100 hours of that game, and of course, a lot of that is Vash playing on my save file since I've beaten it over these recent months. But I know even like when I actually rolled credits on the game earlier this year, whatever, I was probably like at 70, 80 hours then. And so, yeah, that's pretty dope that I put that much time in. And then same thing with Silk Song. Like I put in about 60, 70 hours of that game in the first month. And so that now Silk Song specifically was a situation where the platform I bought it on was very crucial because I was originally going to buy it on my PS5 because I'm like, hey, I want to see it on the big screen. I want to get some trophies and stuff. But I decided to get it on the Switch too because I was like, well, I first played the original Hollow Knight on the Switch back in the day, so I was like, it don't feel right, and I'm so happy I did because with my family schedule and stuff, whatever, I got a lot of playtime in during those hours. I'm sitting in my car waiting for the kids to practice or whatever, so like I'll drive somebody to practice. Okay, you're gonna be in there for an hour, 2 hours. Okay, cool. I'm be in the car knocking out these levels and bosses and stuff. And so that's how I was able to get so much time put in. Like I said, like a good chunk of that 60 hours was in that first month, which is insane for me. So, but yeah, so I think those are kind of like I think those are kind of like the primary games I wanted to shout out. Mainframe was another kind of like fun concept one that I didn't really get to finish, but I like the look and the premise of it. And yeah, I think that's primarily it. Gaming wise in general, I'll just say like shout out to just like Battlefield 6 for having a huge resurgence coming back and stuff, whatever. But also speaking of Battlefield, like rest in peace to Vince Impella, who he was originally one of the original founders that created the original Call of Duty games back in the day. He was the head of Infinity Ward, so back during the Modern Warfare 1 and 2 days, and then him and a bunch of people left and formed Respawn Studio, which made Titanfall, which made Apex Legends, which made the Star Wars Jedi games. And then from there, a few years ago, he got tasked with rebuilding and spearheading a new Battlefield project, which was Battlefield 6. And so, yeah, he tragically just passed a week or two ago in a car accident. So, yeah. But yeah, so shout out to Battlefield 6 for the strong resurgence. I had fun playing the bit I played in the beta, but I just can't really do multiplayer games like I used to anymore. And then shout out to Arc Raiders as well for that's like another hot and booming game out there too. So, but yeah, so enough from the games. I think what am I gonna go to next? Let's talk about movies a little bit. So I'm not gonna dive too deep into a lot of these movies because most of these movies there is a dedicated podcast episode for y'all to go listen to me talk about this stuff on. So go listen to those. But just kind of scrolling back through a lot of the movies I watched this year. Um, Last Breath is one that still kind of sticks out with me because that was kind of like loosely based on a true story about these deep sea divers and one of them kind of getting stuck down at the bottom of the ocean during a expedition gone wrong. Uh, Mickey 17. That was one that I wasn't really sure what to expect going in and was pleasantly surprised. So shout out to Mickey 17. The Amateur, that was one I had been waiting on since the year before when I first saw right, Rami Malek and kind of like a CIA spy series. Yep, and it was a very dope uh, movie to watch. Just kind of like this guy who he's not a field agent for the Secret Service or whatever, but he's kind of like a smart, brainy tech dude that works on like the security systems and stuff. And so something happens to a family member, and he ends up taking it to his own hands to go after the people that hurt that person. So that was really dope. Sinners, Sinners was a memorable experience on so many levels because for one, this was the first movie in years that me and my wife got to go to the movies together and see. And so it was one that we both really enjoyed the music and the vibes and everything with it just hit my heart, hit my soul. And it's like watching that around the same week I played South of Midnight. Those two things went in tandem really well. But yeah, so shout out to Sinners, Thunderbolts. Another one that was way better than I expected going into it because I was just in the same dumb jokes in the movie in the trailers over and over and over, but movie ended up being way better than I thought it would be. Ballerina. This is one that was just fun to watch. It's set in the John Wick world. It takes place, I think, between 3 and 4, I believe, timeline wise. And it's pretty much just a female John Wick movie. So if you like John Wick movies, check out Ballerina. That's the simplest way I can state it. F1 movie. So the F1 movie is one that I really watched just out of pure curiosity because I'm like, F1, okay. And I'm looking at the cast. And so I was like, you know what? Screw it. I'm going to go watch it. And I think I watched it in, oh yeah, I watched it in IMAX. Great choice to do. But yeah, it was just one that like I really got invested in the characters and the story. So it's now I think on Apple TV, whatever. So if you haven't watched it, I recommend it. It's by the same director that did Top Gun Maverick, which was one that I also enjoyed a few years back. So yeah, so go check out F1. Superman was a fun movie. Fantastic Four was solid. The Long Walk was a brutal movie. Let's see, 100 Meters is probably one of my favorite anime slash movie things I got to experience this year. Shout out to everybody that's been checking out my review I did for it a couple months ago, and shout out to all the people that are watching it now because it just went onto Netflix a couple days ago. So yeah, check that out. Chainsaw Man movie was really dope to watch on the big screen. Begonia was super weird. Wicked for Good. I was so happy I got to watch that movie with my daughters because we all went to go see the first one last year for their birthday. So it was a little late, but hey, we still made it happen with this one. Uh, one battle after another. I went and saw that in theaters, even though it had left theaters because it went into theaters earlier this year, but then left. And so I was like, dang it, I really wanted to see it, but because it was a freaking 2 hour and 42-minute movie, most of the days around that time would have been like weekdays, and I'm like, I can't really do that. But I ended up doing it, but it was a situation where, throughout the year I kept hearing so much praise and stuff for the movie. And then what's her name? Shoot, what is the actor's name? Uh Chase Infinity. Seeing all the pictures of her getting praise and stuff, I was like, okay, I gotta watch this movie. I gotta figure out a way to watch whatever. And then they brought it back to theaters again. Funny enough, I literally watched it, I think maybe like a day or two before it was gonna hit like HBO Max. But I was like, you know what? No, I waited this long. I wanted to see it. I'm gonna go see it. And so I went and saw it on a cheap Tuesday or whatever. I had some my little movie coupon saved up, and I think I watched the movie for like 68 cents. But it was a solid movie. Definitely crazier than what I was expecting it to be. But really solid movie though. And then the last one that I just saw last week on Christmas Eve, Marty Supreme, Mr. Timothy Chalamet. Like, man, this dude, like, hey, I've enjoyed these last couple of years getting back to back to back him for the holidays. Like, it was the Doom Part 2 a few years ago. And then uh, the Bob Dylan Unknown movie or whatever that was last year. Loved that one, and then this movie was freaking crazy in all the best ways. So shout out to Marty Supreme, and yeah, that's it for movies. So like some short and sweet with the movies. Now, trying to think. Let's kind of touch on the TV shows a little bit. Cause this year was very interesting for TV shows, so I can't really think of everything in the order in which they released, but I'm going to do my best. So, at the beginning of the year, Paradise, man, Paradise was super cool. Uh, that show had one of the coolest like first episode reveals that I've seen in a long time. That's where like when it happened, I was like, oh, this is a nice little twist on this situation. So, and I'm excited for season 2 of that coming up. I think in February, I believe. But uh, but yeah. So shout out to Paradise season 1. Um, Severance season 2 was freaking phenomenal. Watched that this year. Silo season 2 was this year as well. It's not new, but I watched Beef for the first time this year. That was a very crazy series or movie. I can't remember what it was, but shout out to it. Daredevil Born Again was as brutal as I hoped it would be. Really good stuff. Really good stuff. Um, let's see. Well, I'm trying to see other stuff in order. Oh, it's not new, but I watched The Expanse. I watched the first 3 seasons of it. When was this? Back in June, around like early part of this year into the summer. That show, I understand why that series is held in high regard. Like me watching it all these years later, like that, it is still good, still good. Shout out to K-pop Demon Hunters. I forgot to mention that for movies and stuff. So that was a fun cultural experience that took over the freaking world. Um, Ironheart was okay. Definitely could have been way better, but you know, uh, I will say shout out to it for introducing me to one of my favorite songs, which was by Sir called No Evil. Like when that song played at the end, I believe it was at the end of episode 1 or 2, and I was like, "What is this?" And it's been on my playlist ever since. So shout out to that. Um, let's see, Department Q. Y'all know I love my kind of like drama, uh, cop drama type show. So shout out to Department Q. Common Side Effects was a super weird show, but was super awesome. Same thing with Pantheon. That was really kind of really good show. That I enjoyed all the seasons for that. Uh, I just watched Slow Horses, all 5 seasons of that a month or so ago. Phenomenal. Go listen to that episode. I did a whole 30-minute discussion about the series. So go check that out. Task was super good. Don't know if it needed a season 2. I think they're doing a season 2, so we'll see. But I was satisfied with it just being one season. Um, oh, I just started. I watched the first 2 seasons of maybe 2 seasons of Succession. Quietly in the background while all the chaos has been going on. Been enjoying that. That's been really good. So Succession. Finally watching through that. And trying to think what other TV shows. Watched the first couple seasons of Dark Winds. Weird show, but good. I watched what is this? Is it Mayor of Easttown? That's pretty good. Pluribus. That just finished. Season 1 of that just finished. That was an interesting, very slow burn show, but I enjoyed it. Uh, shoot, shoot. What's the one? Crap. Ah, Mayor of Kingstown. Shout out to my boy Rob J. I don't know if you're gonna be listening to this or not. I'll probably put a timestamp just for this for you. So after seeing Rob J talking on the timeline about Mayor of Kingstown season 4, probably one of the best seasons of television I've seen in a long time. I'm like, okay, I need to lock back in because I enjoyed. So I watched it for the first time when season 2 was coming out a couple years ago, whatever. Watched it, really enjoyed it. It's on, what is it on, freaking Paramount Plus. I don't keep that subscription. So season 3 came out a year in 24. Didn't bother the time. I was like, I'll get around to it. Well, hey, season 4 came up. And so with the finale happening last week, I was like, okay, Rob J's talking about it, whatever. I'm gonna check it out. Man, I, those seasons was a freaking roller coaster, man. Like, yeah, especially like really both seasons, but especially like season 4, people dropping like flies, man. Like, and I mean, like characters has been with us since the first season, man. Like getting taken out, and I'm like, yo, y'all are clearing the board. I don't know how many more seasons y'all gonna have, but I don't know who gonna be left to cast. But yeah, but shout out to freaking Mayor of Kingstown, man. Like really, really, really good show. Glad I came back around to it and watched it. So uh and I think that might be it for TV shows. Just kind of scrolling through seeing if anything else pops up TV show wise. But I think for the most part, that is primarily it. So really, really good year for some different TV shows and stuff that I found and came across. Same thing for Invincible. I was behind on that, but I ended up catching up on that show as well. Really good stuff. Very brutal, but really good. um, yeah, yeah. That's it. Oh, sorry. I'm thank you thumbnails for catching my eyeball. Night Agent. surprisingly decent. I watched both seasons of that. I think season 3 is coming out soon. But yeah, just want to just give a shout out to Night Agent. That was a interesting new one I also checked out. So all right, on to I believe some anime. All right, anime. So I'm primarily just gonna mainly talk about the stuff that I finished. Now I will say the year overall though, great year. Great year with a bunch of really cool anime. So you know what? Let me do it this way. I'm gonna kind of go through. Let's see the season and stuff, just to make sure like I don't skip over anything. So I'm gonna just kind of just go through this really quickly and just kind of just shout out some stuff that I really just enjoyed. Solo Leveling season 2, super dope, man. Like ain't much else I can really say about it, man. It was just super phenomenal adaptation, man. So good stuff. Apothecary Diary season 2, amazing, amazing, man. Just seeing the continued growth and bond between Mao Mao and Jinshi and all the surrounding characters, man. I truly, truly love Apothecary Diaries. Shout out to Dr. Stone, final season, man. Like they getting down to the crux of it, man. Like this year in general, seeing the Suika arc get animated, man. Like one of my favorite story arcs in Dr. Stone towards the end there, man. Like seeing all that stuff come to life, the brutality of it, the shock, like super cool, super dope. Uh, let's see. Honey Lemon Soda, I still want to go back and finish. I didn't finish it. Uh, Headhunted to Another World. I was so happy to see that anime get picked up because I really enjoyed the manga for this. Read it a couple years back, the first like handful of volumes, and the anime for it was very well done. So shout out to that. Uh, I left my A rank party. That show, it wasn't necessarily anything super special about it, but it was just done really. It was just really solid. Watch. Let's see. I'm not gonna talk about every single one. Just like the stuff that really stuck out to me. Medalist, medalist. Man, like, I would love to do a rewatch of season 1 before season 2 comes out later in the month. But like this show was really special. Like not only as like a former athlete, but also as a parent of kids who are athletes, man. Like this show really spoke to my heart and my soul in so many ways. Just like you have this guy, the coach, who was pretty decent back in the day, but just never really got to see his dreams achieved. And then you have this girl who is starting way later than a lot of kids typically start in that sport. And once again, uh, I could get. I'm gonna have to do a whole episode talking about medalists because it's so much about it that I just really relate to. So just want to say, just shout out to medalists, man. Really fantastic show. Uh, let's see. Anything else? I didn't watch it, but just gotta say, shout out to Blue Exorcist for coming back. Uh, man, I gotta get back to Ishura, man. That was a solid one. I liked what I watched of season 1 years back, but I need to go back and finish it. But I think that is it for the winter stuff. So let me scroll back up. I'm just kind of going season by season from last year. Let's see. Fire Force is back. Windbreaker, I still need to finish that. From Old Country Bumpkin to Master Swordsman, that was a really fun one. Uh, the Brilliant Healers, New Life in the Shadows was really solid. Can't wait to see a new season of that. Seeing My Hero Academia Vigilantes animated was so dope, man. Seeing my boy Koichi and Popstar and Knuckle Duster, Pop Step and Knuckle Duster, man, super dope. Really, really love those characters. Kowloon getting a anime. I still need to finish that as well, but I enjoyed what I watched of it because that was definitely one of those manga I had been wanting to check out for a long time, and so yeah, so definitely want to check out the finish up the anime for that. Uh, Sword of the Demon Hunter, Kijin, another one I need to go back and finish up, but I enjoyed what I've seen of that. Um, and forgive me, y'all, for not being too descriptive on a lot of this. Like I'm just kind of just wanted to give some shout outs and stuff, and plus been talking for an hour. My mouth is hurting really bad, so I'm just trying to get through this. Apocalypse Hotel was another really, really unique and quirky little show. Two Perfect Saints was really awesome and special. Uh, let's see. Um, that might be it from that season. Yeah, I don't really see nothing else. Scrolling a little bit more, yeah. All right, let's go on to the next season and see. Let's see. Dan the Dan still rocking hard. Got you Akuda, man. Like, I still need to finish the last few episodes of this season, but man, like, they knocked it out of the park. Bones knocked it out of the park. Love seeing all the love that new fans were coming to the series. The English dub cast is phenomenal, so shout out to them on that. The fragrant flower blooms with dignity is high on my list of shows I want to check out. So I hadn't gotten around to it yet. High up there, I want to get to. Same thing with My Dress Up Darling. I started season 2 the other day, so I'm gonna slowly chip away at that in the background. Seeing the summer Hikaru died get animated was really dope. Still didn't finish it. Taco P's Original Sin, haven't finished that. Call of the Night season 2, Secrets of the Silent Witch was freaking awesome. That was freaking awesome. An awesome show to watch this summer. The Water Magician, man, that was one that I had high hopes for, man, but it just, I don't know. It just didn't really hit like I hoped it would. But, you know, I will definitely still check out if there is another season. I'll definitely watch it. But yeah, man, it definitely could have been better. Now, one, there was a really nice surprise. Clevitas. Clevitas was super dope. If I remember right, I believe Clevitas is from the person who created, I believe, Dimension W. Let's see, where is the author? If my screen would stop blacking out. Yep, same creator from Dimension W. So, but yeah, Clevitas, man, that show was very brutal. It's been a while since I've seen a dark fantasy show. Um, hit as hard as that is, it's like it's a brutal show, but it's done in a tasteful way. It's not doing violence for the sake of violence. It is doing it very well. So Clevitas, highly recommend if you're looking for a dark fantasy series. Let's see. Togen Anki, man, I don't know. I really want to go back and take some time with that show, but I don't know. Let's see. Anything else that really stuck out to me from this season? Shout out to Reborn as a Vending Machine season 2. Solo Camping for 2. That's one I enjoyed so far. I want to go back and finish that one now that that season is wrapped up. I think that's it from there. I'm gonna go ahead and just mention it because I clearly must have overlooked it or something. But freaking, probably one of the top ones for the year, honestly. To Be Hero X, man. Like To Be Hero X was freaking insane. Like the way that show is handled production wise and everything, like they truly knocked that out of the park, man. Like real talk, they truly knocked that out of the park. One of the most unique and highly produced and artistically varying shows I have seen in a long time. So shout out to Be Hero X. My Hero Academia final season is pretty much over. There's gonna be one bonus final episode coming out in May, I believe. But yeah, just seeing the fans and stuff rally around the final season, just had to give that a shout out. Let's see, To Your Eternity season 3. I still need to get to that. Um, Sonda, Sonda, the series from the creator of Beastars, but it's centered around Santa. Now, going into it, I was like, okay, I know this is weird just because of the Arthur's history with stuff, whatever, with Beastars, but it was one that was truly intriguing the whole way through for me, like from start to finish, just with this world where it's like these kids are in this kind of like boarding school where they're raised and like it's weird to really describe, but it's one that I'm like, if you're open to different and unique stuff, then it's one that I highly recommend kind of just like going in and giving a try. Uh, Gift level 9,999 was really fun. Let's see. Anything else from this season that stood out? I don't think so. Oh, Tojima wants to be a common writer, man. Love it, love it. Just super fun show, man. That is not ashamed to embrace its uh inspiration and heritage, man. Like really good stuff. And that might be it for anime. I think. Yeah, I think that might be it. Okay, let's wrap up with manga. So I'm gonna read it off of my phone, or just kind of like use my phone as a guide, since my screen is kind of flickering. So, pretty much most of these are manga that I had did a specific episode on, so you can go and listen to more in depth thoughts. But just want to just shout out just in case if you might have missed it, might be new here, whatever. But yeah, so uh, one of the first ones is Takahashi from the Bike Shop. Very sweet and wholesome, kind of like a slice of life romance type series that definitely want to circle back to and see if I can maybe check out a couple more volumes of it. Uh, The Witch and the Mercenary, super dope, super fun series. Um, Let's Take a Walk in Another World was another one that was a very fun little surprise, just like a isekai, just about this boy that literally levels up by walking. And going back to Witch and Mercenary, so that one, I really just loved the connection and bond from, as the title suggests, this mercenary working for and protecting this witch as they're traveling around, going on adventures and stuff. So, yeah, Longing for Home, a very interesting series about this guy who puts him and his family into cryo sleep during like a world disaster, but he wakes up hundreds of years in the future, and he's the only one to survive. And so him kind of dealing with the aftermath and trying to figure out how to continue going on from there. So that one is really good. Um, I can't believe I didn't mention Orb a while ago with the anime. It's just so much stuff. But let's see. War of the Adults has been an interesting one that I've been reading through as well that I kind of want to probably going to circle back to sometime very soon. Uh, Cosmos and Rai. So Cosmos because it's kind of like a Men in Black type of vibe with this world and the series and stuff. So shout out to that. Rai. Um, it's another one that also kind of deals with aliens and extraterrestrial stuff, whatever, but definitely different from Cosmos. Um, Roar, A Star in the Abyss. Can't remember all the finer details of that one, but it's definitely one I enjoyed. The Bugle Call finally got a physical release in 2025, so I've been happy to seeing more people picking that up. And then Centuria's getting a physical release. I think it might be this month, I believe. So looking forward to more people checking that out. Uh, Tower Dungeon. Really happy to see and to check out that one finally. That one was really big. Kaiju number 8 ended. So yeah, shout out to Kaiju number 8 ending. Hero Organization, man. Like I caught up on that. I was behind on it. Caught up on it, really enjoyed it. Uh All Mark. All Mark is definitely one of my favorite things that I checked out this year. Um, Sometimes it's just like the way the story and the world building and stuff is set up. So much was done so well in that first volume to where I'm like, oh yeah, I'm locked in for the long haul. Whenever these chapters come out, volumes, whatever, I am here for it. So shout out to All Mark. Let's see. Do. See if there's any other specific manga stuff. Of course, got to give another shout out to the Young Magazine um, situation with that contest and stuff. So shout out to that. And let's see, manga wise, trying to see is there any stuff on here that is sticking out that I also read this year. Catching up on Mad, that was good. Mason and the Man Eating Apartment, that's been a very great read. Punt Gun, that is one of my current favorites that I just caught up on the last 4 chapters of that. Uh, Witch Riv, that's another new one that's been good. That's only 10 chapters so far. Let's see, Nitty catch up on Snowball Earth and Still the Celestial Shadows, but those I've been reading since the year before. And that might be it for now with newer manga stuff. Let me take one. Oh, Itchy the Witch. I think, did Itchy start this year? Or was that a year ago? I don't know, but either way, shout out to Itchy the Witch, still going strong. Uh, got a freaking Jujutsu Kaisen sequel series. I haven't read it because I still ain't freaking finished Jujutsu Kaisen. um, yeah, yeah, ain't nothing else too much. I don't think I can really point out to. Uh, yeah, yeah, nothing else really sticking out for me right now. So yeah, so that's pretty much it for the manga stuff. So yeah, but with that being said, man, I'm gonna kind of end this here. Man, did a good about hour 15. And I hope y'all enjoyed. And funny enough, while I was kind of scrolling through, checking my YouTube page for the manga stuff, whatever, I saw that last year I actually did this exact same thing where I did my farewell episode along with my favorites of the year. So funny enough, 24 was also a crazy year. So that's probably why I was like, you know what, just do this, Robert, because it's like, hey, you did it last year. But anywho, thank y'all so much for another year of sticking with me, man. 2025, man. It's crazy that we're just a couple months away from hitting the 5th anniversary of this freaking podcast, man. Like, it's weird. I've it's found a life of its own in a way. I've met so many cool and amazing people along this journey, and all I can just say is just I appreciate y'all for just sticking with me through all the ups and downs and all the chaos and me disappearing and the inconsistent releases and stuff. But and like I said, like looking back through this year, I wasn't as inconsistent as I thought I was. But just my own self perception. But yeah, so I hope y'all will continue to rock with me as we head into 2026 and whatever new adventures and shows and games and manga and anime and movies that I come across. But I will continue to do my best to talk about them and to put y'all onto stuff, whatever, because I know I see a lot of my best performing stuff for sure has always been my manga stuff, and especially whenever I do like a focused episode about a series or something. So definitely want to get into that. I think Full Night might be one of those ones that I dive into very soon, especially now that the full set is available on Viz. So I look forward to reading through and catching up on that. But yeah. So as I always say, treat yourself to something nice, read some manga, watch some anime, TV shows, movies, play some video games, and of course, live your best life. And with that, thank y'all so much for a interesting 2025, and let's make 2026 another great and interesting year. And I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.